Mr. Holliday, can you hear me there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I have the pleasure of hearing you. How's your day going so far?
It's not going bad at all. Can't complain.
Am I getting you from the private retreat in Puerto Rico, or is it from Connecticut today?
I'm in the States. I'm back in Westport.
Got it. Well, MLW, the restart is coming up soon. For those who may not have a great attention span, where are you at currently in MLW?
Like, in what sort of fashion are we talking here? Are we talking spiritually? Where am I at? Or
well, you are still the MLW Caribbean champion. I got that correct.
Well, of course, I am the Caribbean heavyweight champion, the IWA MLW, IWA/MLW heavyweight champion. And I'm living large. I'm doing great. Face of the company, me and Hammerstone, the Dynasty. And, you know, it's the same old same. It's a brand new restart for us. But one thing that's going to remain consistent is the Dynasty on top of the mountain.
Right. So when the show continues, all the titles are retained, so you're still the joint champion on that end. But do you know who you'll be wrestling in your first match back?
Well, there's plenty of matches that I'm going to be having within the restart, and I think it's better off if I just leave it for the consumers to watch and tune into MLW when it's live on Wednesday nights on Fubo and DAZN.
Right. One of the big developments for you in 2020 was getting your own line of coffee-related products. Where is that at the moment?
Still in product and development. Obviously, we're going to take our time with things like this and make sure that, you know, it's as great as the name that we put on it, which is Dynasty Coffee.
Right. Dynasty Coffee. Has that been trademarked?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Always ahead of the pack on that end. Have you and Hammerstone been training any differently since the pandemic happened?
Well, I think everybody has been training in some sort of makeshift manner for the first part of the pandemic. But, you know, recently, you know, the economy is opening up a bit and gyms are back open. And, you know, we're doing our thing. We are elite athletes. We train hard all the time. We don't get ready. We always stay ready. And that's kind of the mantra of the Dynasty for how we treat our bodies. And, you know, we're always ready. So there's no need to switch anything up or do anything differently in that sense.
Well, people have been following Richard Holliday on social media, know that you're in the best shape of your life as of late. Did you start the pandemic that way?
No, I would say that honestly, the pandemic kind of motivated me to get into even better shape than I, ever thought that I could. And that's what I did. And I feel great, visually and athletically, and from a performance standpoint in the ring, I feel fantastic.
And of course, morale seems to be very high amongst the MLW roster at the moment. Is there anybody that might be joining the Dynasty? Because didn't you guys recently lose Gino Medina from the mix?
We didn't lose Gino Medina. I fired him. Okay. So that's first and foremost. But no, we're not in recruitment mode right now at the moment. I think Hammerstone and myself are happy, being the standard bearers of the Dynasty and leading that ship into more success than we have ever thought imaginable.
Right. Well, as a longtime fan of Richard Holliday, I could think of many accomplishments to be proud of if I were Richard Holliday, which I'm not. Is there something that you're most proud of at this point in time?
Yeah, I think it's revitalizing basically the entire nation of the Caribbean and all of the consumer niños that live within the Caribbean, to give them somebody to look up to and to, admire, and because there's not much to look forward to down there in the Caribbean. They do have some beautiful islands, don't get me wrong, like in Bermuda and Jamaica, things like that. But, when you're talking about Puerto Rico and things of that nature, I really am an idol to them. So, to replace Savio Vega, who, of course, has a historic presence there, but really that's it. He's not doing anything now. It's very, what have you been doing for me lately marketplace, really in all over the world, and especially in the Caribbean.
That's interesting to hear. Is Savio going to be back in MLW as well? Are you going to embarrass him as part of the MLW restart as well?
I don't want to be too bashful, but yes, I would love to embarrass Savio. Not in the sense that I want to ridicule him and, make him feel, beneath me, but just in the sense of hey, man, this is how you represent the Caribbean. And if that embarrasses him, it embarrasses him. But I promise it'll be completely unintentional.
So if I can recap what I know about Richard Holliday and all he has accomplished and where he's at now, we're talking about a person who's a champion, who's in excellent shape, who has a budding merchandise empire thanks to the dynastic cause. In general, this is a person who is doing well spiritually, athletically, etc. In terms of productivity, how do you do it? Are you a big to-do list or a calendar kind of guy?
Well, you know what? I wake up every single day and I look myself in the mirror and I say, man, you are good looking and dynastic. And then I just go about my day. You know, a lot of planning isn't really necessary when you're breathing rarefied air. You know, sometimes you could just wake up, get out of bed and have no plan and immediately make it the most successful day you've ever imagined. So no, I don't really do calendars. I don't really do, notes or Post-it notes or things of that nature. I just kind of put my AirPods in one pod at a time and get about my day.
One pod at a time. Hammerstone seems to just be very different in general. He's also not a to-do list, productivity-oriented guy. He just is more genetically natural.
Absolutely.
Wow. So I guess there's no hope for me in terms of reaching your level, but the bottom line is MLW star and all that. What, when you're not busy with MLW, do you like to do with yourself? That we don't know about you.
Well, I've made it very clear that I do enjoy, frequenting coffee shops and exploring different, types of shops throughout the country. Whenever I get a chance to travel, I've always found, great enjoyment in that. And other than that, it's a lot of grinding. This industry is very overbearing on our bodies, and we need to make sure that we stay in tip-top shape. And anybody who slacks in that department is going to slack in terms of success. And I refuse for that to be me. So, in my downtime, I do enjoy, drinking coffee and developing my own brand. And other than that, I am fully devoted to being the greatest wrestler I can be for the consumers and delivering the ultimate consumer experience for not only the consumers, but for Major League Wrestling.
Well, 2 quick questions, and then you're a free man because I know you're very busy. And the first one is, what's the TV show besides MLW Fusion that people should be watching these days, according to Richard Holliday?
No, this seems like a personal question and what I personally like to watch.
Yeah, it is, if that's okay to get some insight.
Well, to be honest with you, and this is me being perfectly honest, I don't really watch all too much TV. I'm more so looking at the news and watching the marketplace and watching things about stocks and local events and pop culture and things like that. It's very important, especially in my role within the company, to stay completely as relevant and be more forward thinking than everybody else on the roster. So for me to watch somebody else's creation as opposed to developing my own would be kind of a waste of my time.
So dividends and ex-dividend dates are more interesting to you than television programming? For
sure.
Okay. Lot to learn yet again. So the closer, Mr. Holliday, any last words for the kids?
No, never for the kids. They're just consumers. They're small, miniature consumers, just like anybody else. I don't treat them any differently. So no, are going to start putting money into the market and, making their own decisions. And I will say, actually, I will say to them, now is a very pivotal time in our lives. We're coming up on, you're interviewing me on election day. I'm not so sure when this interview will be released, if it's live, if it's not, doesn't really matter. But today is election day for the consumers who are wondering when this was taped or recorded, may I say. Yeah. I would say educate yourself young because you don't want to be behind the 8 ball when you become 18.
Well said. Thank you so much for gifting me with your time and your knowledge and your know-how, and looking forward to seeing you on the relaunch of MLW, Mr. Holliday.
You're welcome, sir.
Paltrocast.